Hey, and welcome back to Beer Babies. My name is Will, and I've gone down to the beautiful coastal town of Ulverstone, where I'm joined by Josh from Button Brewing. We've actually had a chat before, and that was wasn't even 12 months ago. It feels like a long time.
Seems a while ago.
And I guess it feels like such a long time ago because you guys have had such a big year.
Yep.
So I thought to start off, if people want to know your backstory, they can go watch the last episode, which is great. But maybe can you just give us sort of a rundown of what sort of happened over this past year?
No problem. I guess the most obvious thing is the elephant in the room behind us. So the purchase of our second brewery was definitely the big thing this year. And also releasing a lot of limited releases was also a big focus that we had for 2021. In terms of the new brewery, that was something that's always been in the pipeline for us since we took on the lease of this place.
Yep.
So it was part of the initial lease agreement that we had with the council who own this building.
Okay.
So when we first took it over for the bar and restaurant, part of that agreement was that we're going to put a brewery in here.
Okay. Yeah. So because I was surprised to hear that you guys were doing it because you're running like a really successful operation. Like you've got your brewery the other end of Ulverstone, and you've got the wharf down here which serves it. So it was always on the cards.
It was always on the cards. Initially, the idea was to bring the brewery that is up in Short Street down here.
Yeah.
So that was the plan from the start. But the first sort of 12 months of trading, we realised pretty quickly that we're going to need more.
Yeah.
So we're better off getting a second brewery for down here and keeping what we've got in Short Street.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm wondering. So how do two breweries work? Are you going to brew certain beers at one or not the other, or like how's that going to break down?
Yeah, so the idea of it was we purchased this brewery down here pretty much exclusively for the sales down here.
Yeah.
So it's...
Do you think it'll be big enough?
We'll see. Probably not. So yeah, it's a 500 litre brew house system. This one behind me is 1,000 litres, but this one's going up to Short Street.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing a bit of a swap around. So this one's going to be 500 litre batches, 500 litre fermenters, transferred through to the 500 litre bright tanks, which are serving tanks.
Okay.
So they go straight to a tap.
Yeah.
So everything we brew down here is going to go straight to those tanks, straight to tap.
Okay.
And we won't be doing any packaging down here.
All right.
So what that means is the brewery up at Short Street is just going to be a dedicated production facility for wholesale, canning, kegs.
Cool.
So it'll give us just a lot more capacity to start to push sales into wholesale, new markets, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I definitely want to jump into that, but I just want to take a step back so make sure I understand it properly, so the beer babes can follow along too.
Yep.
So what happens here is you brew the beer over here.
Yep.
And then I'll probably do a really sexy snap cut over here, and so the brewed beer goes into those still
The bright tanks.
bright tanks.
Yep.
And so the bright tanks basically just hold your beer.
It's
and then
basically
it
just a
goes
big
through.
keg.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's literally it's brewed here.
Yep.
It's fermented in these tanks.
Yep.
Chilled down. Sent over to the bright tanks where it's chilled down further, carbonated, and then it's basically just a big keg.
Yeah,
and we're just serving straight from there.
And that pipes to the tap, and then
Yep.
so arguably you could be having something like the freshest beer in Tassie.
That's the idea. Yep.
That's
so
sick.
it's not only the freshest beer for our customers, but they can also see the process.
Yeah.
They can see the fact that it's made here and it's being served there.
Yeah.
You can't get any more local than that.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
any fresher.
And I think that's such a cool thing about craft beer is like there are a few places like this where you can watch a beer being made and then you can drink that same beer. Like that's so cool.
So we're planning on this isn't up and running yet. So the bright tanks are nearly up and running. We're about to start pouring from them. But this brewery down here is probably going to be a job for next year.
Yep.
So at the moment we're brewing up at Short Street and then bringing it down and putting it into those tanks.
Yep.
But once this one's up and running, we're hoping to host brewery tours.
Yeah.
So people can just walk over, have a brewery tour, and then walk back and do a tasting and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no,
all in house.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's so cool that it's all in one. You've got the full experience of like and people can see their beer get made, sit down, have some great food. Like, all in such a nice venue.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, so that was always the plan when we first took this over.
Yep.
The goal for the business was to have somewhere like this to do exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
We always found it a bit difficult with the brewery up at Short Street. It was just a bit of a disconnect. So
Yeah.
people would come in and say, "Oh, where's the beer made?" And you sort of say, "Oh, up the street." And
Yeah.
so now they can literally see it.
Exactly. And going back to the distribution side you're talking about, so Short Street's going to be your dedicated distribution.
Yeah.
What are sort of your goals around that? Like, what's your plans?
Yeah, so up until now, we haven't really pushed any sales. So everything's just been people coming to us,
Yeah.
and we've been supplying. So we're hoping to get to a stage where we've got enough stock that we can start to push it a bit harder into some more of the bigger chain bottle shops.
Yeah.
Whereas at the moment we can't really keep up.
Yeah.
You know, we've always had the problem that we're either running out of kegs for down here or we're running out of cans up there for wholesale,
Yeah.
and we've never been able to keep up.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will solve that problem,
Yeah.
and we can really start to push it statewide.
And then I suppose it's less of a balancing act if you've got the dedicated brewery for distribution and for the pub. So it's
Yeah.
just like everything here is going to the taps, and
Yeah.
everything there is going to kegs and cans and all that sort
Yeah,
of
it
stuff.
makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I can imagine it would. Before you mentioned that you guys have done a lot of limited releases and special beers.
Yes.
A particular favourite of mine was the raspberry gauze.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know if I said that right.
Goza. Yeah.
But I thought that was awesome. Like it was because I'm not a huge sort of sour guy, but I found that like really refreshing to drink.
Yeah, cool.
And you guys have put out so many cool limited releases this year. Tell us a bit about that process and maybe what was the most exciting for you to make.
The most exciting for us to make was probably our 100th batch, which is the Wolf Hunter, not Imperial IPA.
Yep.
It was exciting just because of the fact that it was such a big beer. We sort of had to do a double mash to get the amount of sugars we needed for that size ferment. So that was a bit of fun, and just the whole artwork on the can and everything was really fun to do.
Yep.
But yeah, the Raspberry Ghost was definitely up there as well.
Because the artwork on that was beautiful as well.
Yeah, my mum did that.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that. I'm just like that's a really cool story.
Yep.
I think that's. I don't think that episode's out yet, but it's coming up. Because I bought it and it sat in the fridge for a while, but it was still beautiful. And you've done lots of crazy beers. I remember messaging you because you had an event on, which you've done heaps.
Yeah.
And I was messaging you about you made a dark IPA.
Yes.
And that just blew my mind. So
Yep.
it was like, tell me a bit about that and in general making these different beers.
Yep. So the whole push towards limited releases for this year was, I guess, twofold. One, I believe limited releases keeps customers engaged.
Keeps me engaged.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, it keeps the brewers engaged. So it's fun for us as well. You know, the whole reason I started this business was to make cool beers with awesome labels.
Yeah.
And that's sort of my artistic outlet, I guess.
Yeah.
So that was a real push for this year. And I think it has engaged customers pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the black IPA, that's I actually think that's my favourite style of beer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the best of both worlds. So you've basically got dark roasty malt backbone, but a really clean, fresh, super hoppy flavour and aroma.
Okay.
So yeah, I think they're awesome.
Yeah.
Black IPAs. A lot of people don't like them.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think I got down in time to get one, but the idea just blew my mind. And because I'm not a big I'll put my hand up. I'm not a big dark beer guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like that sort of combination
Yeah, you'd
could
like
be
that.
really cool.
Yeah. Some of them, there's a lot of good ones out there, but there's a sort of a fine line with dark beers and black IPAs in particular, that balance between roast malt and hop.
Yeah.
Sometimes the roast malt can overtake it, and
Yeah.
it can be more of like a hoppy stout.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a bit of a balance. Which, the most recent one we did, the Lumberjack Black IPA, we're pretty happy with.
Yeah, and I suppose that's, like you were saying, that creative outlet is, I think, you guys, more than anyone, because like my Instagram has just become like craft brewers. You guys have really sort of pushed the creativity. Like you guys have really been doing lots of different things, and not sort of letting yourselves be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool, and I like it's definitely keeps bringing me back. Every time I come down to the wharf, there's a new beer, and I'm always going to try it, get some cans to take home. Like it's really good, and I feel like that's something that like is going to keep people coming to Buttons.
And it's a hard thing to do too. Like it's hard to come up with new recipes on a regular basis, and you have to come up with label designs and get new labels done. There's a fair process to it. It's a lot easier just to stick to a core range and just push that. So it has been a big effort, but I think we've done a pretty good job.
Do you find, is it risky? Like, because I in my head I'm like, I'll throw some of this, see if it sticks. But if, like, when you're working with like big, I suppose, how do you practice with small batches, or you're like, we're going to make 500 litres and bloody hope it sells?
A bit of both. Yeah, we do practice. We've got a little one keg system that we do little test batches on. So quite often do test batches. And then scale them up. We've done that a few times.
Does it taste the same? Like if you just I'm guessing you just put 1% of the ingredients in, and so then when you scale it up, it's the same. Yeah,
it's it scales up. Yeah, very similar. It does.
Speaking of new beers,
yes.
So today's the 6th or 7th? 7th. 6th. Yep. Cool. You've literally just dropped a brand new beer, which we're actually drinking right now.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this one's our collaboration beer between us, Penguin Beer Company, and Communion Brewing. So it's basically, I had an idea that, well, I've seen it on the mainland a few times where certain regions do a collab beer together, and it's quite often 3 breweries will sort of come together and create a beer, and then all cross promote each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
And the fact that Penguin only just recently opened up and Communion's just about to open up, I thought it was a perfect time for us to band together and to do a beer which is just a celebration of this part of the world becoming a craft beer destination. I think it's really starting to be a place where people can come to travel to have several stops.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, like, so the last time we spoke, really, like, once you got as far as Ulverstone, it was you guys and then maybe a few like little. I don't like. Everyone's doing a really good job, so it's hard to not put people down or whatever. But I think now, compared to when we last spoke, like there's 3 big beer destinations
and good quality. Like really good quality.
Legitimately, like 3 of my favourite places in the world now. Like I haven't even like at time of recording, Communion's not open, but like when I went to talk to Andrew, like his passion, and his vision, and just like even like they were polishing concrete, and I could see like this is going to be big.
Yeah.
And for you guys to all come together, it's literally like, I thought I was dreaming. Like, because, like, we've got interviews, I'll put them down below, you can go back and check out. We've done episodes with Andrew and Scott, and it's like, I think that the Northwest is blowing up.
Yeah.
And it's really making me appreciate the whole region as well. Because, like, I don't know, like being being a Launceston boy, like our viewers that aren't from Tassie, like I don't know, I feel like the big cities are pretty smug, and like, but to be honest, like I would rather venture down the northwest now than head down to Hobart.
Yep.
Like, there's heaps of breweries down there, but I just feel like you guys like carved out such a unique part of the market.
Yeah, we're at a good place right now, I think. I think our population levels just at a good amount, so you can come into Ulverstone and get a free park anywhere you want.
Yeah.
But we still have everything you need.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of, we love it here. Penguin's the same, beautiful spot, and then Burnie, I think Communion's going to go really well down there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so if you take nothing else from this, I would strongly advise visiting the Northwest and make sure you've got a designated driver because there are plenty of stops and plenty of awesome beers to try.
Yep.
Did you want to? Can you tell me a little bit about this beer before we go?
Yep, no worries. So this one it's a fairly new style. It's a cold IPA. So what that basically means is it's brewed the same as an IPA would be brewed, right up until the point where we add the yeast. So we add a lager yeast and we ferment it at a lager temperature, a bit lower temperature, around 15, 16 degrees.
Okay.
So that means what you get is that clean, crisp lager backbone that makes you sort of want to go back for another sip, and it's really refreshing.
Yep.
But it's still got that firm bitterness and full hop aroma and flavour of an IPA.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a similar style to an IPL, India Pale Lager, but it's just got a bit more towards the IPA.
Yeah. Because having a sip of this, and as someone who knows so little about beer, for me this sort of feels a bit like really like crisp, maybe XPA almost. Because it's got like a really nice hoppy taste, which it's not too strong. But it's super drinkable. Like I'm guessing that's the lager backbone bit. It's just making me want more.
Yeah.
Like we've only been talking for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick up a few more of these on the way home. Like this is an extremely tasty beer.
Yeah, no, we're pretty happy with it, and it'll be sold across us, Penguin, and hopefully Communion will open soon enough, and they'll have it on tap as well. Plus a few other bottle shops around the state.
And a limited release?
Limited, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So the plan with this collaboration is that we've brewed a batch, and now we'd like to do another one with Communion, brewed at Communion.
Yep.
And so sort of he can take the reins of that one.
Yep.
And then once Penguin open up their brewery in Devonport under the Island State banner, we can do one there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. I just I've said it before on the pod, but like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly.
And that's how I see the Tassie craft brew scene. There's nobody pissed off that somebody else is doing it. Everybody is happy that the whole industry is growing.
Yeah.
And to see you guys working together and to make something so good is awesome.
Yeah.
This has been such a great chat, Josh. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us.
My pleasure.
If people want to find Buttons, what's the best way to keep up to date?
I guess the Instagram and Facebook is the easiest way, at Buttons Brewing.
Yep.
But we've also got the website, buttonsbrewing.com, where you can find everything and have heaps of information about our bar and restaurant.
Yep.
And you can book online.
Cool. And what's the address?
Here is 3 Wharf Road, Ulverstone.
3 Wharf Road.
Yep.
All right. So make sure you come down, get a beer, get in quick to get one of these.
Yeah, this won't last long.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, I reckon I'll buy it all anyway. But thank you so much, Josh. This has been great, and we'll see you next time.